In 2015, a young couple received news they weren't expecting to hear. His company was downsizing and consolidating, and as a result, they were shutting down his office and terminating his job. This company, 2 weeks later, offered him a new job in a new city, 2 hours away, here in Tampa. It was a lifeline that they needed. You see, they were expecting their first child, and so they jumped at that lifeline. Now, Tampa wasn't a city that they ever dreamed of living in. In fact, they viewed it as a pass-through city. You know, the kind of place you stay in until something better comes along. And so each week they made a 2-hour trek back to Fort Myers to go to church. That's 2 hours each way. It was a special church. This was a place where he had first come to really know Jesus at a certain depth and had really grown in his faith in the Lord. And so each week they made that trek for 2 years. They began to feel uneasy about making that journey each week. Perhaps it was the fact that their 2-year-old didn't want to sit for 2 hours each way to go to church. Or perhaps it was the fact that she was pregnant with her second child and she didn't really want to sit for 2 hours each way to go to church. They knew something had to change. And so they looked at each other and said, hey, we need to find a church that's a little bit closer to where we live. And, well, that's where you come in, Bay Life. You see, it was a friend at work, a lifer, who invited her to try us. And so they came and they experienced a Sunday and they loved what they experienced. They loved the teaching and they loved the sense of humor and the sense of joy that they felt. The only problem was the service they went to was about 10 times bigger than the entire church that they loved back in Fort Myers. A sea of nameless faces. They felt lost. So they came week after week. They became weekenders. You know the type. They come in, they drop their kids off, and they go to service, and then they go back out, not saying hello to anyone. I mean, why would they? It's full of people they don't know, and they're not expecting to stay in Tampa that long. And so they hid. For 13 months, they stayed hidden, feeling more and more lost and alone. Oh, they heard the invitation to go to a life group and to sign up and join one, but they had all the excuses. I mean, maybe you're familiar with them, right? Schedule, time, childcare. Don't want to, I can do it alone. I don't need anyone in my life. But in May 2018, they needed to dedicate their child. So to do that here at Bay Life, they needed to join a 3-week class. That's where they found themselves here, in room 604 in the back of the church in the portables, a place, well, not many see in our church. They came in expecting to check the boxes of the 3 weeks of class so they could dedicate their child, but they found something different. They found you, Bay Life. They came in and they connected quickly with the other couples that were here. And at the end of the 3 weeks, the class asked the teachers, said, hey, can we go for another 5 weeks together? And the Greaves, who were teaching the class at the time, said, yeah, sure, we'll teach for another 5 weeks. At the end of that time, the class looked at each other and said, man, we should form a life group together, but we need a leader. It was at that moment that God whispered into these weekenders' ears, that's you. You should lead. So they said yes. They met with our life group's pastor, Shane, and he walked them through the life group leadership training. You see, it had been easy to come week in, week out, to come and go. But what they found is every time they said yes to God in this journey, that God met their obedience with an amazing grace and overwhelming kindness in what he allowed them to see and experience. Well, it's been over a year, Bay Life. And this life group that started with 8 couples has turned into 11 couples. They would tell you that there's a depth in friendship that they've grown into. They've supported each other and ministered to each other through all of life's ups and downs over the past years, through deployments and babies and other events. This couple that would say, we could do it on our own, would tell you today, we can't imagine life without these other couples. You see, Tampa is not just a pass-through city anymore. It's home. You can be a part of the crowd here at Bay Life. You can come each weekend and we'd love for you to do that. But if you want to be a part of the church, well, then join a group. That's where real life, real ministry, real friendship, real church takes place, when we belong to each other. You see, that's not just their story. That's your story, that's our story, and that's most definitely God's story.